We just got 2+ hours of reveals, shadow drops, announcements, and a little bit of ads, but put it all together and what do you get? That is Summer Games Fest 2025. I might say that this was the best Summer's Game Fest that we have ever got. A lot of surprises, one of which happened at the very end, kind of shocked me, as well as some shadow drops games that we didn't know were going to came out with something brand new, and a bunch of things in between all of that. Now, as you guys know, on this channel, we put on a little news show every single Sunday, but this is a special episode because when big things happen, I think we need to cover it. So welcome to this week's special episode of the Weekly Reload. Something we're going to do all the time, but whenever something big happens in the industry, I feel like we need to cover it in a little bit more detail on this channel because it's a gaming news channel. The Weekly Reload has become something I think you guys really enjoy. We want to expand on that. So this was a perfect chance to do a special episode of the Weekly Reload. So let's dive in and talk exactly what happened in Summer Game Fest. So it all started out with Jeff Keighley beginning the show with a little bit of a monologue, talking about how some of the biggest games of the year, like Schedule 1, for example, was created by one developer. And that is one thing that they kind of repeated throughout the show. Smaller development studios still making incredible games. And then the first game they dove into was this. This is a little game called Mortal Shell 2. It is essentially a action RPG that's a little bit like a Souls-like, and as you can see, some huge elements of horror that kind of remind me of Resident Evil. And don't worry, the show starts out that way, and it is a little bit of foreshadowing, but we'll get to that later. Now, I'm not going to cover every single game that was announced here, but I'm going to try to cover all of the big ones. So slightly after this, we got Tom Hardy. No, you didn't hear me wrong.
Thou shalt not kill. So the priests tell us. So the Lord commands.
Now, like a lot of the trailers that we're going to see in here, this game doesn't come out until 2026 as well. They didn't show a ton of gameplay. They let us know that it tells a story of going from rags to riches, as well as showing large scale battles amongst the medieval times. And this game was called Chronicles Medieval. Now, the next game that would come out was Sonic Racing of all things. And it was interesting because they immediately started to throw shade at the only really direct competitor, which is of course Mario Kart.
Also, unlike another kart racing game, this game will have online cross-platform matchmaking.
And everything seemed like a little bit off here until they really got fans behind them with the last thing that they showed from the trailer. After this, we moved into a couple more indie style games, the first of which was called The End of Abyss. This one is coming out in 2026, and essentially this is a top-down action-adventure game with a pretty cool, interesting art style. And speaking of interesting art styles, the other one they showed off after this is Mouse PI for Hire, that obviously is pulling some crazy inspiration from Mickey Mouse, but they really didn't show much of this one whatsoever, but I think they're just kind of trying to sell it based off of the way that it looks. And speaking of the way that it looks, this next one I did not expect at all. It is a premium, and they doubled down on stating premium because they wanted you to know that this time when they talked about this IP, it was not for a mobile game. They're making another Game of Thrones game, but this time it makes a little bit more sense because it is a real-time strategy game, and I must say, they kind of killed the cutscene.
Thrones.
Now, after this, I think personally, this next section was my favorite set of announcements out of the entire show. The first of which was for Atomic Heart 2. Now, this version of Atomic Heart 2 is just more of Atomic Heart. You basically have the very, very ladylike robots. You've got the futuristic setting, contradicted with the Russians. It's basically take Atomic Heart, crank it up to 11. There is no release date for this game yet, but what they did say is they are putting more of an emphasis on exploration and the open world side of this game. So this, to begin with, looks awesome as just a linear story-driven game with open world elements. But after this, they announced that they weren't just working on an Atomic Heart 2. They were working on another game called The Cube. Now, this looks a lot like Atomic Heart, except this one is an MMO, and I just didn't expect this out of them whatsoever. So you're gonna have like the looter shooter RPG elements of an MMO in this world that is a cube that is constantly churning. Basically think of Rubik's Cube. So the landscape is constantly changing, meaning it is a live service Atomic Heart game, which of course has me worried, but they're doing it in an MMO style. Completely unexpected and looks very, very interesting. Speaking of interesting, if you ever wanted to play a boxing game as a puppet, well, as it turns out, there is a game for you. This was probably the strangest game of the show, but yeah, you quite literally play as a puppet who's going through and like a Rocky style story and trying to be a boxer. And it is called Felt That Boxing. Then came the moment that I was personally waiting for, and that was the Ark Raiders moment. This game is at the tippity top. Everyone wanted this game to shadow drop tonight. They kind of hinted at it, and then the trailer came out. And let's be honest, the trailer looked absolutely amazing, showing off some brand new areas. And then they burst everyone's bubble when they announced that the game would not be dropping until October 30th. Which sucks because there was no like news or anything as far as beta or anything. We literally have to wait to the end of October, which is interesting because that should be coming out around the same time as Call of Duty. Moving into a co-op game, we had one called Lego Voyagers. Essentially, in this one, you play as a brick of Lego. It is a co-op game that you can play with a friend, and you can actually play for free with a friend, just like Split Fiction did. And it looks like you kind of have to use your piece of Lego to build and complete puzzles, which with these co-op games, I really do like what they are doing with them. So then we had a game called Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny, and this is a game featuring, of course, SpongeBob SquarePants, but it kind of looked like a roguelike with the dice maybe meets like a Dungeons and Dragons style game. It was a strange one, and speaking of strange ones, the next one we got was a Deadpool game, which sounds absolutely awesome. Unfortunately, it is only in VR. It is not Ryan Reynolds voicing Deadpool, but rather Neil Patrick Harris.
Spider-Man gets Insomniac, and I get this shit? I'm craving Korean barbecue now. Is that weird? Whoa!
Another game that's coming a little bit sooner than later is Dying Light the Beast. Now, this one is interesting because there's supposed to be a lot more survival elements in this, but the trailer looked as though it was completely action-packed, but I will say looks pretty good. The good part about this is we did get a release date, and it is August 22nd. So after this, we had a little bit by IO Interactive. Now, this is the studio behind Hitman and the game that is coming out very, very soon by the name of Mind's Eye. Now, this is the one that everyone is comparing to GTA 6 for some obvious reasons, with some Cyberpunk 2077 vibes to it. Now, I don't know if it's going to be anywhere near there because a lot of their focus actually wasn't on that game. It was a game that was announced during the State of Play, which was the new James Bond game. Now, this game is not coming out until 2026, so they wanted to do something to tie people over, and that was bringing in a character from Casino Royale into their Hitman game that is already out and add a complete new mission based off of Casino Royale, which is live right now.
Your target is the elusive shadow banker, known only as Le Chiffre, a financial mastermind with suspected ties to the criminal underworld. He has arranged a high-stake poker game at the Casino Monarchique in Paris. Our clients have deemed this unacceptable.
So if you have the Hitman game, you can literally go and play this little piece of James Bond right now. And I thought this was just a little cool addition, but man, am I hyped for that James Bond game. Now, another thing that they announced is a game called Lego Party, which is just simply a Lego version of Mario Party. So the second time we've seen people directly going after Nintendo games this show. And then we got a really, really dope looking scary game by the name of Ill. Now, aside from the really cool trailer, the only thing that we actually know about this game is what we see here. The crazy, crazy looking zombies kind of bring me back to Silent Hill and Resident Evil and everything like that, but it looks very, very scary. Unfortunately, no release date, no release window or anything like that for this one. But it does look very spooky, and this left us asking some questions because people were expecting like a Resident Evil 9 game to be a part of the show, and the next thing that they showed was seemingly going to be that, but we kind of got baited.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Basically, what this has ended up turning into was an announcement for the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil, and they essentially told us that we weren't going to be getting any more information on the next Resident Evil game until February or March or closer to the anniversary of the actual Resident Evil. So this brought us now to the final 3 announcements of the show. The first of which was actually Splitgate. I was surprised that this one was right at the end. And the first thing they did is dump on Call of Duty, dump on Halo, and dump on just the first-person shooters that are out as of right now, which I thought was a pretty bold statement.
Hey guys, I'm Ian Prue, the co-founder of 1047 Games. When we started Splitgate in our dorm room, we just wanted to make a game we could play with our friends, and 20 million of you played with us. Now, with the help from our amazing community, we've built Splitgate 2. Why? Because I grew up playing Halo, and I'm tired of playing the same Call of Duty every year, and I wish we could have Titanfall 3. With Splitgate 2, we asked ourselves, how would we take portals to the next level? What if you could portal to entirely different worlds? So we combined the action, movement, and gunplay of arena shooters with the scale and intensity of something much bigger. Splitgate Battle Royale launches free right now, and it's fucking awesome.
Look at that water placement, expertly done. This is the epitome of sport. They are splitting savants and jetpack geniuses. The movement is so fluid, so fast, you can't stop it, you can't catch.
And to complete the comeback, he's going to try. He shoots, he gets the kill. Now that's how you portal. They're not done yet. They got one, they got another. They're going to do it. They're going to do it all the way.
This was a pretty damn good trailer. I think there was a great use of music in it, but yeah, basically they have these multiple different maps where these battle royales actually take place, and the game is live right now. They shadow dropped it. I haven't played it yet, but it's definitely something I'm going to be checking out tomorrow to see how it competes. And with a lot of people saying that the battle royale genre is dying out, I'm very curious to see what this game does as a whole. The second last game is a game created by the creators of Yakuza. This one is called Stranger Than Heaven. Really didn't give us too much information about this game, but if you're a fan of Yakuza games, this is absolutely a game you're going to want to dive into. And then that's left us with the very final, the last game that was announced from Summer Games Fest. And guess what? We got jebaited. Now, as a trailer, this was absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, the best trailer from the show. You start out and you see some characters, and they are very clearly in an FBI office. You are being put on a case. And the trailer starts out in exactly this way. However, when you're given the case, things start to go a little bit trippy. But as the trailer continues on, and as you get further and further into it, you very quickly see that this isn't just a game that takes place during the FBI times, but also it looks completely and utterly post-apocalyptic. There is a lot of twists and turns and ridiculousness in this game, and I was very, very impressed with this trailer as a whole. I don't exactly know how this game is going to plan out or anything like that, but what is cool is we don't actually have to wait too long. This game is coming out next February. So yeah, new Resident Evil before GTA 6. So those were all of kind of the bigger announcements from the show. We didn't go into all of the indie games and every single game that was announced during this because there were a lot of them. I just wanted to go over all the big ones so you guys could be filled in on kind of everything that we saw throughout the show and know what to expect over the next couple of years in games. The next time we get a big thing like this is kind of in August, and then of course the Game of the Year show at the end of the year. So if you enjoy this video, you like the addition to the weekly reload, please hit that like button, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And of course, just around the corner, we're going to have another episode of the weekly reload, just like we always do every single Sunday.